Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over the line of Bolt coiled cable locks. So the main benefit of our cable lock here is that it's not going to require any separate keys in order to operate the locking mechanism. So that's one of my main appeals to the Bolt brand, is that they're actually going to be using your ignition key. Now, if you guys are like me, I hate having a ton of keys on my key ring that I have to constantly cycle through to find the one that I want. And it's also just extra bulk in your pocket you don't want there. Now, with the Bolt coiled cable lock, it is going to use the ignition key to your vehicle. Therefore, you don't have to worry about carrying extra keys or losing your keys, because chances are if you lose your ignition keys, you're going to have much bigger problems than getting into your lock. So just to show you how easy this is to use and how it works, basically just going to remove the dust cap there on our lock, and then we're going to take our ignition key, insert that in there, and then turn it to unlock it, and then we're just going to pull out on the lock cylinder, just like that, to release it. And now we can undo our cable here from whatever accessory we may have to remove the lock entirely. And then now when we're going to install the cable lock, it's pretty much just that same thing in reverse. Your application is obviously going to vary depending on what you're using to secure. But we're just going to take this little end here, we're going to stick it through the loop there, take our lock core, press it on there, pull out our key, put the dust cap on, and we're done. So this isn't a sales pitch, guys. I truly believe in this product and I really like it, so much so that I've actually purchased both their hitch pin lock. You can see here, this is a locking hitch pin that has the same lock knob here that codes to our vehicle key. I have this to secure my accessories at the hitch, and I also have this coiled lock. This is my personal coiled lock that I use to secure my bike. So I personally love this brand. I really think it's a great idea to be able to use the ignition key. So again, you're not keeping a bunch of cluttered keys on your keychain, and we can use these locks for a number of different things. I'm actually using my hitch pin lock to secure a D-ring shackle, so I can use it for a towing strap for vehicle recovery. And then the coiled lock here is very versatile. I mainly use this to secure my mountain bike here to my bed rack because I have a pretty expensive bike and I really don't want anyone to take off with it. So I actually have a lock for the fork block as well, but I'm still using this additional cable lock just as an extra means of security. But there's really a number of different things we could use with this lock here. There's a ton of different things you could lock up in your truck bed there, to the integrated tie down points. The possibilities are really endless. Now, in addition to these two products that we see here, Bolt also offers a traditional padlock that's able to key to the vehicle's ignition key. So in regards to compatibility, this coiled cable lock here is offered for a number of different vehicles, so make sure you reference our fit guide in order to get the correct one. I have a Toyota truck here, so my coiled cable lock is specific to the Toyota model. There's also one for Ford, Chevy, and then a few more as well. So make sure you're choosing the correct coiled cable lock in accordance to what vehicle you have. Now, the length of our cable is going to be right at 6 foot, and as you've seen earlier, it has a very springy design. It's actually a coiled design, and basically what this does is, normally with a 6 foot cable, you're going to have a lot of extra slack dangling, in my case, over the bedside, and that's not necessarily ideal. Having the coiled cable nice and tight here, it's really going to cut down on all that extra slack. You can see, again, this is a 6 foot cable, and I really only have a small distance that I need to wrap it around. So all that extra is going to be pretty much just stored up here, and it's going to be great for other things where we may need a longer cable. Now, our actual cable does have a nice vinyl coating on there, and depending on what you're going to be using it for, you may or may not find that useful. For me personally, I'm using this to secure a bike, and I don't want to rub all the paint off my frame, so having that vinyl protection there is going to do a great job of helping protect my bike. Now, the length of the cable is 6 foot, and the actual diameter here of the cable is going to be 1/4 inch, but this is some pretty beefy stuff. I'm not saying it's going to be impossible for someone to get off. Chances are, if they had enough time with a Sawzall or an angle grinder, I'll be honest with you, they could probably get through it. But most everyday people, most everyday thieves aren't going to have the tools needed to get this off. And the main thing I always like to preach with locks is they're not going to stop someone from stealing your stuff, but they are going to act as a deterrent. And 9 times out of 10, that deterrent is going to stop a would-be thief from trying to steal your belongings. Now, another big thing with this lock here is that included dust cap. It has a very tight fit here on the lock knob, and this is going to do a great job of keeping any moisture, dirt, and debris out of your lock core, because if you let water get in these things, I don't care who makes the lock, it's going to seize it up. So making sure you have that dust cap on there at all times is really going to affect the longevity to make sure you get the longest lasting product. Now keep in mind, this doesn't come keyed out of the box. You will need to take your ignition key and insert it into the lock core and then turn it. There's a few short steps that you can reference in your instructions in order to key this thing correctly. But once you have that done, it is going to be keyed to that specific key. So if you have multiple vehicles, you can't code them to this key. You need to make sure that the one you want to use it with is the one you're keying it with the first time, because that's how it's going to work for the remainder of the life of the lock. So it's just a common question we get asked here at eTrailer. I just wanted to share with you guys. And that's going to do it for our look at the line of bolt coiled cable locks.